Hello everyone, this is Create with Lindy, and this week on Get Your Play Online is the Out of This World theme. So I chose to create a moon rock. So let me show you what the finish activity will look like. Here we go. So for this activity, we are going to need 2 cups of baking soda. So this is one small box, and in this box will be about 2 cups. So if you have a full small box, that should be about 2 cups. You'll need a measuring cup so that we can measure our baking soda. We are going to put glitter in our moon rock. So here are some of the glitter colors that I have to choose from: silver and red and multicolored. That would look beautiful. So any color glitter that you have will work. And then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of water. So I have a little bit of water already set out here, and a tablespoon to measure. And then we are going to need food coloring or food dye, a bowl so that we can mix, a spoon, and either a plate, or you could also use a baking sheet like this one. So one thing that I want to let you know before we get started is that the food coloring is an optional choice for this activity, because food coloring can be a little bit messy. So if you I'm choosing to do my activity outside, which might be a good choice. So if your parent is able to supervise you, that might be a great way to avoid getting things inside messy. And you can wear maybe one of your play shirts that you don't mind getting messy, or even an apron if you have one. And so the food coloring can be pretty easy to wash off your hands with soap and water, and even like tables or countertops, but it can be sort of hard to get out of your clothes or things like rugs or furniture. So that's why we want to make sure that we're doing it in a place that's okay to be a little bit messy, and if not, then we can always make our moon rocks without the food coloring. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, our first step is going to be taking our box of baking soda, and we're going to go ahead and open it up. Let's see here. And we're going to take our measuring cup, and we're going to fill it up to the 1 cup lines. Let's see if you can see that. Right about there. We're going to do that 2 times. So I'm going to take my bowl, and I'm going to be pouring my baking soda into my measuring cup. Right over the bowl, so that if any spills, that's okay. So here we go, our first pour. Some's getting in the bowl, and that's okay, since that's where it's going to be going anyways. Okay, so there we go. You can see that goes right about to the 1 cup line, and this doesn't have to be exact. And so then we're going to put the rest of the box in. See if I can get it out. There we go. So the rest of it, and we're going to dump that in as well. And one thing to note is baking soda is an ingredient that we sometimes cook with, but this activity is not something that you eat. The moon rocks aren't something that you eat. It's a beautiful moon rock, but it's not edible. So our next step is going to be to choose the color of glitter that you would like to make your moon rocks, or you can even choose multiple colors of glitter. I did silver last time I tried this, but today I think I'm going to do silver and multicolored. What color glitter are you guys going to use? Let's see. So I don't have too much left in mine, so I'm just going to go ahead, and you can put as much or as little glitter as you'd like. I'm going to put the rest of my silver glitter in, and take my multicolored glitter. Go a little closer so you can see. So you can see in there my silver glitter in the baking soda. And here's my multicolored glitter. Make sure to put the cap back on so it doesn't spill. You can see that in there. And I think I'm gonna choose this white glitter as well. And I like my moon rocks to be very glittery, so I'm gonna put a lot of this in here. There we go. I don't think you'll be able to see that one as well since it's the same color as the baking soda right now. Okay, and then we're going to take our spoon and we're going to go ahead and mix it all up. So take your spoon. There we go. So now all the glitter should be mixed throughout your 2 cups of baking soda. Okay, there we go. Now our next step is going to be to combine our water with our food coloring. Let's see, get a little bit closer. The sun's shining. Okay, so we are going to take, I went ahead and put some water in this clear container so that you can see it, but you can just go ahead and get some from under the tap if that's easier for you. Let's see, here it is. So I'm going to take my tablespoon, so it's going to have the TBS, that's the one that you're looking for, and we're going to use 3, we're going to use 3 of these, and I'm going to combine my food coloring with my water in this cup that we already used to measure out our baking soda. So here we go. I'm going to take my water and dip out 1 and into the cup. And let's see, 2 tablespoons into the cup, and then our third, 3 into the cup. All right. And here is where your optional step of adding the food coloring or food dye is going to come in. So I love this part because I like having my moon rocks really colorful. And you can choose as many colors as you'd like, or just 1 color. You can do lots of drops of food coloring, or you can just do a few drops of food coloring. If you just do a few drops, it won't be quite as colorful, but if you do, the more drops you do, the more saturated or the more bright the colors will seem when your moon rocks are completed. Some kids even like to mix all the colors in their food coloring packet together and make black moon rocks, which is totally something that you could do. I think I'm going to choose, I loved the way mine turned out last time, so I think I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to use my blue. I used a tiny bit of purple and a little bit of green. So I'm going to open my cap on the blue. And I'm going to drop, not exactly sure how many. Let's see what looks good once it gets in there. Let's try 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. And make sure we put the cap back on the food dye after you're done so that it doesn't spill anywhere. Whoop. And I'm going to put that to the side. And now I'm going to add, I think, 3 drops of my green. But remember, it's your choice to add as many drops and as many different colors or just one color or no colors if you like. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I love this part because it looks so cool when the colors mix together. And last, I'm going to do just 1 drop of purple. I think the blues and the greens kind of remind me of outer space. What colors remind you guys of outer space? So here we go. We're going to do 1 drop of the purple. There we go. Make sure to put the cap back on this one also. All right. Now we're going to take our spoon that we used to mix up our baking soda and our glitter, and we're going to go ahead and mix up our food dye and our water. So it kind of makes a new color. Here we go. Now we're going to go ahead and take our bowl that has our baking soda and our glitter mixed in, and we are going to add our water and our food coloring. So interestingly, the moon is not actually the color of these moon rocks. The moon is actually a gray color, but when we look at it, it looks bright because the sun is shining on it. So that's an interesting fact, huh? Okay. So that's what it looks like after I have poured it in, and now I'm going to mix it up really well. And if you don't choose to make your moon rocks with food coloring, then it would probably be more like the color of the moon because they'll be sort of a gray color when they dry overnight. Okay, so I'm mixing this up. The moon is actually made of rock and dust. So our moon rocks are made of baking soda and water and food dye and glitter. The real moon is rock and dust. Okay. So once you've mixed it up really well and you don't see any spots that are just plain white anymore, they're all mixed well together. It'll look something like this. And if you decide that you don't love the color that you have right now, then you can always add a little bit more water with a few drops of food coloring of a different color that you decide that you want to make it now. So I'll show you how to do that in case you decide that once you've mixed it all up, that you want maybe a little bit different of a color. So we are going to add just a tiny bit more water. And another, sometimes once we go to the step where we make our moon rocks into balls, if it seems like it's not sticking together very well, you can always add a little bit more water as well. That's what will make it sort of stick and make a ball shape easier. So if you wanted to add more food coloring after you've done mixed it up, you can add just a little bit more of the water. I'm doing about half of a tablespoon. And then I'm going to choose, I think, I'm going to add some pink to mine this time. So I'm going to do some pink. And mix it up. Make sure when you guys are making your activity, I'd love to know what color you guys chose for your moon rock, so make sure to leave it in the comments below. All right, so we're going to pour our new added color in and go ahead and mix that up so I can show you how it changed the color. Mix, mix, mix. If you add a second color afterwards and you don't mix it super well, then I bet our moon rocks would actually come out sort of marbled looking with two different colors in there, which could be cool. So I'll show you what I mean. So see, now we have created sort of a different color on there. Sorry about the shadows, or the sun is changing position, so it's getting a little darker than when I started. Okay, so now we've got all of our ingredients mixed together for our moon rock, and I'm going to go ahead and start to create the rock shapes. So you're going to want to have either a plate or something like a cookie sheet or cookie pan aside, so that once you've made your rock shapes, you can put them down onto that. And one note is that these will take a full night to completely dry. So that is something I wanted to make sure to let you know, that they will not be totally dry and completed until the next day. So here we go. We are going to take our mixture and create, I'm going to take it in my hand and make a ball. Sort of like that. I'm going to go ahead and put it down on the sheet. And remember, I said earlier, if it's really crumbly and it's really hard to make a ball shape, you can always add 1 more tablespoon of your water to your mixture. So we're going to go ahead and do that for all of, and this is going to create a lot of moon rocks. You can make them as big or as little as you would like. So I like to make mine about this shape. If they get really big, sometimes when they're drying, they crumble a little bit. Okay, so there we go. And this is a time that if you chose to use food coloring, you might get your hands a little bit messy, and some of the food coloring might go on that. So we'll want to make sure to wash our hands really well with water and soap when we're done. I'm excited to see how these turned out, because since we did 2 separate food colorings at 2 separate times, I can see all of the different colors. Hopefully you guys can see that in here. I can see the bits of pink and purple and blue and green sort of marbled all throughout. So I think it's going to turn out really good this time. Make a bigger one this time. See how big of one I can create. Put as much as my hand as I can and smash it down. This is fun to play in. It's kind of like making us something at the beach, like a sand castle. All right, so I've got a big one on there. Here's my big one. Keep going. And if you have a sibling, you could always make this into 2 separate bowls so that each of you could have a chance to create some of these moon rocks. All right, there we go. And something interesting about the moon is that the first people that actually walked on the moon, they left a flag there. So I wonder what you guys would leave if you were able to go to the moon. I think it would be funny to leave like a chocolate bar for the next astronaut that went to the moon to find. Oops, that one got a little crumbly. Another thing about the moon is that they have a lot less gravity than we have here. So, you know, gravity is something that the reason that when I hold something and I drop it, it falls. That's what gravity does. And they have a lot less of that on the moon. So you are actually lighter there. You actually weigh less when you go to the moon. And you can kind of feel weightless there. I think it would be really cool to be able to do flips on the moon. All right. Would you guys like to go to the moon? I think space travel would be super fun, but I know you're gone a long time, so I think I would miss my family. Almost done creating our rock shapes. Here we go. I'm getting my last little bit here. This is going to be a smaller one. So I got my last small one. And you can see it's almost like I'm baking cookies, but instead I'm making moon rocks that are just going to sit overnight so that they can get nice and hard, and so that they'll end up looking something like this one. So that is part one of our activity. And part two, we are going to create craters with our moon rocks. So this is something that's best done with your moon rocks once they've hardened. So you can watch this part, and then tomorrow, after you've already had your moon rocks harden overnight, then you can create craters with your finished moon rocks. But if you wanted to sort of experiment with the moon rock that you've just made that hasn't hardened with some of the materials that we're going to be using, you could totally do that right now. All right, so I'm going to kind of brush off my hands all the baking soda, and I'm going to go ahead and put these aside. Okay. So for our second part, where we're going to make craters on our moon rocks, we are going to need some vinegar. Sorry, it's getting so dark here. Vinegar, and we're going to need one of these syringes for medicine. Now this doesn't have a needle in it, so it's not a scary one. It's something that maybe your mom or dad might use to give you medicine. You could also use a little dropper, or if you don't have either of those, you can just use a regular old spoon, and that will work too. So we are going to put a little bit of vinegar into a little bowl. There we go. And in a little separate bowl, you're going to put your finished moon rock if you want to see what really the craters will be like. Or you could go ahead and take one of the balls that you've made that hasn't sat overnight to see what the effect of the vinegar will be. So we are going to, and the reason, if you ever look up onto the moon, you kind of see how there's like different darker spots, and those are craters on the moon, and those are actually meteors that crash into the moon, and that's what makes those sort of divots or little holes in the moon. And the reason that we don't really get those on Earth is because we have more of an atmosphere, that when the when the big meteor that's kind of like a rock, when it goes through our atmosphere, it gets burnt up and broken into little pieces. So it doesn't do that to the Earth, but to the moon, since they don't have the same atmosphere, it can fly into the moon, and it'll create sort of a indentation. So I'll show you kind of with Play-Doh what that looks like. So here's my moon. It's not very smooth, but okay. And so when the meteor comes towards the moon, so pick me to a smooth spot, and it crashes in, then it leaves a little kind of divot like that. So that's what we're going to be making on our moon rocks today. So I have my already finished moon rock here, and I'm going to go ahead and take, since we're at first we just want to see what the vinegar does, so we're just going to take a tiny bit into our syringe. So I'm going to start where I have it all the way pushed down if you have a syringe, and I'll show you how to do this with a spoon too if that's all you have. And we're just going to take this and put it, the tip in, and just pull up just a tiny little bit. So that's about, you can go just to the very first line if you want. So we are going to see what happens when we add our vinegar to our moon rock. So here we go. I am going to put just a tiny bit. And did you notice how it, see how it bubbled up? And see if you can see it. Well, see how it made that little indentation there? Very cool. So the reason that the vinegar does this is because our moon rock is mostly made of baking soda, which is a base, and our vinegar is an acid, and that's why this is happening. So you can make as many little craters in your moon rock as you like. Try to get, see if you can see this better. Okay, here we go. Little drop, watch it sizzle, and then you have a little indentation right there. Make a few more. Let's make a big one. Wow, look at all that dissolving. Very cool. And then you're left with that big crater. That's so neat. I'm gonna make one more. Okay, ready? Make a big one. Oh, it's dissolving the baking soda, and then we have our really cool crater. Awesome. So if you don't have a little dropper like that, you can always take a spoon and just get a tiny little bit of vinegar and pour just a teensy bit on your moon rock. And then you can see what happens with the vinegar also. So I'm gonna go ahead, and something fun you can do is with one of your moon rocks is you can actually destroy it with vinegar as well. So I'm gonna take a lot of vinegar in my dropper this time. So I'm gonna fill up the whole dropper. Wow, okay. And I've got this clear container, but you can put your moon rock in a cup or a bowl or anything like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and pour all of it in there. Let's see if you can, trying to hold it up so that you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to just push the whole thing on it. You can see it's dissolving it and starting to destroy our moon rock. Let me show you what happened in the cup. So you can see some of the water and the baking soda coming out. Very cool. So I'm going to do this as many times. We'll see how many times it takes to kind of destroy our moon rock. Ready? Here we go. Whoop, I kind of missed because I was looking in the camera there, huh? All right. Here we go. See if I can get it right on there. Whoop, splash on the camera. I love that bubbling sound it makes when it's dissolving. Ready? You can see. Very cool. So once you've sort of destroyed your moon rock, you can see all of the vinegar is at the bottom, and our water and our glitter and our food coloring is at the top. So that's really cool experiment with vinegar and baking soda, huh? All right. Now my hands are a little bit messy, so I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe them off. I hope that you've really enjoyed this Create with Lindy, making moon rocks and craters. I've really enjoyed doing this activity with you. I would love to see your finished examples once you guys have created them. So please make sure to take a picture and put them in the comments when you're done. And make sure that you stick around. At 1 o'clock, we have sensory time with Mackenzie. All right, have a great day, guys. Bye.